welcome to the studio tonight. I thought tonight we would paint a little puppy. Had a request to paint some pets, some cats and dogs, so here we go with a puppy. Alright, let me mix a few colors up here. I'm going to just put in a little ochre. This is going to be on some of this dog. It's going to be just a little bit of background color. Here we go. Just going to drop that in wherever we think we need to see some ochre. A little bit of yellow on him. It's just going to help to add a little bit of color to him. So we're not going to put too much on, but just enough to get us going. And just on his face. We don't need to make it symmetric. Animals, thankfully for us, don't necessarily look symmetric like we do. So we're just going to drop everything in there. And we're just building a base. We're putting in some of this color just, like I said, to start building our base. We may not even see this when we're done. We'll see how it goes. But here we go. All right, this is actually, I believe, light red that I'm using here. And I'm just painting that on. Here we go. And this is going to be mostly my base color for this dog. But that that yellow ochre, that might show through just a little bit. Make it a little bit lighter, vary the color a little bit, but basically this is going to be the color of my dog. So here we go. We're just laying that on in a couple of spots where we think we want to have some color on him. Here we go, around his eyes and down his snout. And I'm being careful to go kind of around his snout. As I do that, it will define the snout for us. There we go, just mixing the color, blending the color right on around his eye. We'll come back and we'll get that in a second or two. We're just going to continue on with the same thing, dropping some color in here and there and blending it in, letting it be a little darker towards the edge and a little lighter as it comes into the center of our painting. And we're going to let it just blend in how it wants to. Alright, so I've mixed up a little dark color. It's a dark blue, a gray, whatever we want to call it. It's going to be kind of my shadow color and his nose. I'm going to put it in there. Alright, and that's just going to define his nose. We're going to come back to that. We'll darken that up where we need shadows around there or make it look a little darker. Just mixing another brown here. I can make brown easily with red and green and altering those colors to get the desired shade I want. It will always be a little on the green side, but for our purposes it's going to be just fine. We're going to drop that color on here, and again doing the same thing we did on the other side. Just going to blend that out a little bit. This dog has got all this nice puppy fur all over him, all nice and soft and fluffy. Hasn't gotten too big yet. There we go. I'm going to define the other side of his ear now with that. There it goes, and just blend that in. Perfect. Okay, on the other side, on his head under there, it's a little darker. That ear now is sticking a little bit forward, so we need to give a little shadow underneath that. Back to our darker brown color. Just going to put it on here. There we go. And let it run out how it wants to. Where else do we want to put a little bit of this nice mixture on him? Right along his leg there. That looks pretty good. And definitely under his chin where it's a little bit darker because there's a little less light on it. Alright, we're going to mix up a little bit of a darker of this same color. This, I believe it's light red, unless I've got my colors on my color chart mixed around. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue in it, and hopefully that blue, just that little bit of blue, will push that back in our picture a little bit. That's the bottom of his stomach, sitting right there. And here's his back haunch. Back there, we're just going to drop ever so slightly. A little bit of color. We want it to be just a little less than his leg in front, so we can make the difference between the two. We know where his haunches stop and where his leg starts. Alright, continuing to mix my color off to the side. What are we going to do? Alright, I'm going to define his paws just by putting in a little bit of color on the top of them where the bend would be on his leg. There you go, or I guess his ankle. And we're now defining the outside of his leg against the white of the background, and now the inside of his leg. There we go. I'm not interested in putting a lot of color in there. I just need enough so that you recognize that his leg is there. And just wherever that color seems to want to go, I'm going to put it on there. And on this leg, just enough so that you know where, again, where the inside of his leg is at. Differentiate that from the bottom of his tummy back there. And there we go. All right. And now we're just reinforcing his front leg. Make sure we pull it way in front. As soon as we drop that red color on, you can see how far forward his front leg has come. It no longer looks like it's attached to his haunches in the back. You can see clear difference. Just a little shadow under his chin, making it a bit rounder than it was. Alright, and I need a little shadow underneath that ear. It's standing out just a bit. There we go. I might want to give just a small shadow on this ear too. There, and I'm just tapping just a little bit of water off my brush. I'm letting most of it run off on the paper, but just tapping a little bit off. Alright, darkening his nose so that we know where the highlight's at, where the shadow's at. There's his mouth. Just an upside down T. Quickly with his eyes. His eyes are big enough here that I can just leave a highlight on them. And I can make that big enough you'll be able to see it. Shimmering, shining in the light. There it is. Just that little bit of white helps us out a great deal. Alright, we are just about done with this guy. I think just a few more little things and we'll be able to call this good. Alright, let me mix up a bit of color here. Now I'm going to thin it down. This is going to be the shadow that's underneath him. There we go. It's not exactly the way I would do a shadow normally, but I think this time I'm going to give it a little shot. What does the shape of him look like if the sun is coming down on him? There we go. It does look like he's kind of in the bright sun. So I need to put a little shadow kind of all the way around on his right hand side. And there we go. There's a quick and easy painting of a puppy in watercolor. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I had fun painting it. Just retouching a little bit of his eye. That'll help to really round it up. So I enjoyed painting with you. Give a like to the video if you like. Subscribe to my channel. I would love to paint with you again in the future. Signing it off, and there we go. Thank you so much. Did we do a good job? I think so. Yes.